All right, we are live. Cigar and a Beverage on this Thursday, April Fool's Day, April the 1st, 2021. And if you think today was a day full of jokes and foolishness, in the sports world, not so much. Lots of news to get to, and a big one right off the bat in the world of NCAA men's basketball. Legendary North Carolina head basketball coach Roy Williams has decided to retire, and that's how we're starting tonight. Cigar and a Beverage live from the broadcast booth. We go to Chapel Hill, North Carolina, where Roy Williams, after 903 wins, 33 years as a head basketball coach, 48 years total in coaching, and he's having spent the last 15 seasons, spending 15 seasons at Kansas and the last 18 years at North Carolina. Roy Williams has called it quits. The Naismith Basketball Hall of Famer finishes his career with an overall record of 903 wins, 264 losses, 3 national championships at North Carolina, 400 wins at 2 separate schools. He is the only basketball coach in history. And to achieve that, he says, quote, "It's been a thrill, it has been unbelievable, and I loved it." The 70-year-old now former Tar Heel basketball coach, some of his other accolades include 9 Final Four appearances, 79 NCAA tournament wins, 18 conference regular season titles, and an NCAA record 8 wins against Associated Press number 1 ranked teams. Of the 52 players who reached the NBA after playing for Williams, 32 were drafted in the first round. His exit from North Carolina reportedly stems from his frustrations with the direction of college basketball, particularly the increasing number of transfers and the controversy surrounding name, image, and likeness rules. North Carolina lost to Wisconsin in the first round of this year's NCAA men's basketball tournament. It would prove to be Williams' final game, which was also the only first round loss of his career. Amazing to me how this name, image, and likeness rule is causing a lot of strife, a lot of riff among college administrations and college coaches, particularly those of the old school. Roy Williams comes from a Dean Smith background after having been an assistant under Dean Smith at North Carolina. He's got an old school mentality. And the way college basketball and college athletics as a whole is trending with the transfer portal. I mentioned this in a previous episode a couple weeks back. The transfer portal is going to cause more harm than good. It really is. And it's unfortunate that we are in that situation because college athletics, particularly football and basketball, have been so pure with the amateurism, the tradition, the excitement, the pageantry surrounding it, that when you have name, image, and likeness wrapped around with it, and the transfer portal to go along with all of that, college athletics is starting to become, and it has always been big business, but now it's really starting to become more about the money than the actual product. The product has dwindled. The product has suffered, and that's where we're headed. And it's not a good thing. But Roy Williams has decided to call it quits. We wish him well. 33 years as a head basketball coach, 15 at Kansas, 18 seasons at North Carolina. He's got 3 national championships to go along with it. He's had a successful career. He's a Hall of Fame basketball coach, and we wish him well. So, to Coach Williams, you're probably not watching this. That's okay. We salute you here at Cigar and a Beverage. And this one is also for you. All right. one of my favorite memories of Roy Williams. Let's go back to 2003. Which proved to be his last season as the head coach at the University of Kansas. He gets to the Final Four. He gets to the national championship game. They're playing Jim Boeheim and the Syracuse Orange. They lose the game because Kansas couldn't hit a damn free throw. That's what ended up costing them the game, because they couldn't hit a free throw. That was the Syracuse team that included Jerry McNamara. I think McNamara hit something like 6 threes in that basketball game. And Carmelo Anthony was on that team. It was a one and done at Syracuse before he got drafted into the NBA by Denver. Bonnie Bernstein was a locker room or sideline reporter, locker room reporter for that national championship game. Asked Roy Williams about how he feels, about how his team is doing after the game. And, typical coach speak and answers, yada, yada, yada. And then she decides she's going to ask him about the open North Carolina job. And he says something to the effect of, I don't give a damn about the North Carolina job right now, and started going off on Bonnie Bernstein. Now, granted, it was probably not the right question to ask after his team had just lost the national championship game. He just got off the court probably 15 to 20 minutes prior to that interview beginning, and she's going to ask him about the North Carolina job that had just opened up. And you're thinking to yourself, really? A mistake on her part. Understand she was doing her job, but it was probably a mistake on her part. And it is what it is. One of my favorite memories about Roy Williams, about going off on the locker room reporter. Kind of funny. That's my thought on it. It's not a question that you morally, it's probably not a question you want to ask a coach with the speculation surrounding him about taking a job. It's probably not the right question to ask at the given moment after his team had just lost the national championship game. They get off the court. 20 minutes later, you got a microphone in your face, and they're asking you about that job. Big mistake there, Bonnie, and I think she knows it. Now, again, I understand she was just doing her job. It is what it is. As I grab my bracket from sticking with the NCAA men's basketball tournament, as I grab my bracket, I'm trying to weigh it down here. I got wires coming all over the place. I got wires coming out of places, nukes and crannies and cracks and whatever. Sticking with the NCAA men's basketball tournament, last week talked about the Sweet 16 matchups, where I thought we would be, what I thought would happen. And to say I was wrong is an understatement, because as I look at the bracket, I thought Syracuse was going to get past Houston. That didn't happen. I thought Loyola Chicago would beat Oregon State. That didn't happen. So whoever won out of the Midwest was a moot point in my bracket. Houston ends up winning. I did correctly predict Baylor over Villanova and Arkansas over Oral Roberts, although that Oral Roberts-Arkansas game was a great ball game. Baylor ends up winning. Baylor ends up beating Arkansas, so Baylor goes on. I got that correct. I got Gonzaga and USC correct. I got Gonzaga over USC there in the Final Four. I got that correct. Where I was completely shocked about this whole thing was where UCLA beating Alabama and then subsequently going on and beating Michigan and getting into the NCAA and getting into the men's Final Four. I think there was something like 2,800 brackets total on the ESPN bracket challenge that had the Final Four as it's set now, having the Final Four correct. I had no idea. I didn't think UCLA was going to get past Alabama, but obviously, and you know what? Give credit to Alabama. They hit a three-pointer at the buzzer in their Sweet 16 game against the Bruins that set the game into overtime. But once the game went into overtime, it was all UCLA. They turned up that defense, got it up and running. So you're thinking, okay, UCLA can't possibly get past Michigan. Can't possibly get past Michigan. Well, they did. And I'm like, are you serious? Are you serious? And I'm going to pull up the stats from that game right now. In what was quite possibly the worst shooting game of the tournament. Both teams couldn't buy a bucket. Couldn't buy a basket. Both teams shot 39%. Both teams shot, UCLA shot 54 shots. Michigan had 51. Three-pointers, UCLA went 3 of 13, 23%. Michigan, 3 of 11, 27%. At the foul line, here's where the game was ultimately decided. UCLA went 6 of 7 from the line. Michigan went 6 of 11. If Michigan goes 9 of 11 from the line, they win the ball game. Michigan goes 54% from the line. Okay? Now, Michigan out-rebounded UCLA, 32-27. But Michigan turned the ball over 14 times. 14 times. 14 turnovers. Michigan got 32 points in the paint. UCLA only got 16. UCLA only turned the ball over 8 times, so they didn't turn the ball over. They couldn't hit a bucket. Points off of those turnovers, okay? So UCLA forces 14 turnovers. UCLA gets 14 points off of those turnovers. UCLA turns the ball over 8 times. Michigan gets only 6 points off of those turnovers. Okay? So, the inability to hit, to have a decent day at the charity stripe doomed Michigan. 54%. 54% from the line. Here's another thing for you. Here's another thing to think about. Of the 51 points that UCLA scored in this ball game, Johnny Juzang for UCLA had 28. In the 26 games that he's played, he's started 25. He's averaging 12.9 points a game. He's averaging 32 minutes a game. I'm sorry. He's averaging 15.5 points a game. He's averaging 32 minutes a game. He's a 43% shooter, 35% from 3. He's a 90% foul shooter. Okay? So, he's an all-around good basketball player that it seemed like Michigan had no answer for. Okay? This is going to be the 19th Final Four in the history of UCLA basketball. Okay? Now, they had to go through Michigan State to get to this point. Okay? They're in the first 4. They beat Michigan State in overtime by 6. Okay? So 6 points, the difference against Michigan State in overtime. Okay? So they beat Michigan State. Then they had to beat BYU. Then they beat Abilene Christian. They had needed overtime to beat Alabama. What is going on with Mick Cronin's team? I don't know. Johnny Juzang was playing basically on a hurt ankle most of the second half against Michigan. Mick Cronin's bunch of stubborn overachievers survived a set of nail-biting misses by the Wolverines in the final seconds for the victory. They are the UCLA Bruins are only the 5th 11 seed to reach the Final Four. Okay, it's the first since 2011 or 2010. When, ironically enough, Shaka Smart did it when he was at VCU. Now he's going to be the new head coach at Marquette. By the way, before I keep going here, Chris Beard, the now former head coach at Texas Tech, has taken the Texas job. So now the Texas Tech job is now open. You want to talk about adding fuel to a Big 12 rivalry there? That's going to add fuel to it. Texas Tech now open because Chris Beard decides to go from Lubbock down south to Austin. So we'll see how that works out. UCLA has basically been an underdog in every game in the tournament except for maybe the Abilene Christian game. Okay? They'll be big underdogs Saturday night taking on Gonzaga. I think right now the line is somewhere around 14. Michigan missed their final 8 shots, including a three-pointer by Mike Smith with a couple of seconds left and another by Franz Wagner at the buzzer, sending UCLA flying off the bench in a wild celebration. They're the second first 4 team to make the Final Four after VCU a decade ago. So I just mentioned that. After dictating the pace all game, eschewing the slick style of Michigan in favor of a rock fight, it only seemed fitting that the underdog Bruins, having won 2 tournament games in overtime already, would take another to the buzzer. They were clinging to a 1-point lead when Michigan called a timeout with 19 seconds to go, intending to set up the game's final shot. Michigan coach Juwan Howard set up an open 3-point look for the cold shooting Wagner, who missed almost everything. And Eli Brooks also missed a putback before UCLA finally corralled the rebound, and it was merely the start of a chaotic finish. The Wolverines quickly fouled, sent Juzang to the line. He missed the second of the 2 free throws. 6.3 seconds left. Michigan grabbed the rebound, called another timeout. This time, Michigan had Smith race up the court and unload a good look from the wing that was halfway down before bouncing back out. The buzzer sounded and UCLA began to celebrate, only for the officials to put a half second back on the clock. It was enough time for Michigan to inbound one last time to Wagner, who again let fly a 3-pointer that clanked off the iron. And finally, UCLA was able to spring from their benches for their first Final Four trip since 2008. Kevin Love and Russell Westbrook on that team. Hunter Dickinson led the Michigan Wolverines with 11 points, but nothing came easy for the Big Ten Freshman of the Year or anyone else in maize and blue. They were 3 of 11 from beyond the arc, shot 39% overall, and couldn't make one at the end. Michigan in some brackets were a favorite to win the whole thing, and lo and behold, UCLA upsets, and I can guarantee you this, John Wooden is up in heaven watching over UCLA right now with a smile on his face from ear to ear. Big grin on his face. Huge. Guaranteed. Guaranteed. So, let's preview this. UCLA will take on the number 1 overall seed Gonzaga in the nightcap on Saturday night. The prelude to that game will be Houston versus Baylor in what is sure to be an old-style Texas shootout. Baylor is the best three-point shooting team in America. They want to dictate the pace. Houston will want to play physical, tough-nosed defense. This is going to be a good one. Houston averages 65.3 points a game. Baylor 69. Baylor is a very good shooting team, averaging 48.6% from the field, while Houston is only shooting it at about 44%. I mentioned before, Baylor is the best three-point shooting team by percentage in the country. They're averaging 41% from three. Baylor is averaging 35. But again, Houston is one of the best rebounding teams in the country, averaging around 37.7 rebounds a game. Baylor only averaging 33.2. If Houston can control the boards, control the pace of the game, play good defense against a very good shooting Baylor team, Houston has a chance. Right now, the spread is Baylor -5, and as of this moment, that is up from where it began back on Monday when it opened at Baylor -4.5. The over-under remains 135. So, again, that'll be very interesting to watch for. Both teams turn the ball over at almost equal spurts. Houston at about 11 turnovers a game. Baylor at right around 12 turnovers a game. So it'll be a good game to watch, I think. That's going to be the first game on Saturday. Second game on Saturday, the surprising upstart. Yes, I say upstart. UCLA Bruins. Who would have thought I'd use the term upstart in this context? Will be going up against a Gonzaga team that is undefeated. They've won 27 straight games by double digits. They on paper looks like Gonzaga may blow out UCLA, but UCLA has been playing great defense. They going to try to control the pace. UCLA only averages 64.4 points a game. Gonzaga at 74.2. Gonzaga is a 55% team, shooting team from the field. That's tops in America. They are the best field goal percentage team in the country. UCLA is tied for 79th. They shoot it at around 46%. Gonzaga, though, Gonzaga and UCLA both shoot the three probably at around the same rate. They're very close, right at around 37%. Both teams shoot their foul shots in the low 70s. Gonzaga averages 35.6 boards a game. UCLA 32.9. Gonzaga's ball movement, I think, is going to be a problem here. They share the ball at a very good rate. They're number 2 in America in assists per game at 18.6. They like to share the ball. The ball movement is a thing of beauty. It's almost like it's Harlem Globetrotter-esque how they share the basketball. And that is where Gonzaga has given teams fits. They blew out Norfolk State, then they came back and beat Oklahoma in the second round by 16. Gonzaga then beats Creighton. Gonzaga then beats USC by a lot. So again, they have won every tournament game by double digits, and the reason for that is they've got great ball movement and they share the basketball at a very good rate. This is going to be a very tough matchup for UCLA. I think it's going to be tougher for UCLA in this one than when they played Michigan. But if UCLA can find a way to control the pace, stifle Gonzaga like they did with Michigan, UCLA might, and I say might, have a chance. I don't see it happening. I like Gonzaga in this one against UCLA. I like Baylor against Houston. And then we'll see what happens on Monday night for the Final Four. or vote for the national championship game. So that will be something to watch. I can't wait. Saturday night in Indianapolis for the Final Four. Today was opening day in Major League Baseball. Yes. Opening day finally here on April Fool's Day, April the 1st. And let's go through some of our scores from today. Mets and the Nationals postponed today because of COVID issues in Washington, so that game hasn't been played. Kansas City and the Rangers. Kansas City wins it. Football score 14-10. Kansas City over Texas. Carlos Hernandez got the win for Kansas City. 3 innings pitched. He allowed 3 hits, 2 runs, both earned. Struck out 5, walked 1. Kyle Cody for Texas gets the loss, pitching 1 inning, giving up 4 hits, 3 runs, all 3 earned. Struck out 2, walked 1. Wade Davis getting his first save of the year, pitching 2/3 of an inning, allowing no hits, no runs, struck out 2, and no walks. In that one, for Texas, let's see. Joey Gallo went 2 for 3 with 2 RBI. In that one, for Texas, for Kansas City, Merrifield, your leadoff hitter, went 3 of 5. Let's see, your DH, Jorge Soler went. He went 2 for 2 with 2 RBI. Hunter Dozier got injured in this one, but before he got injured, he went 0 for 4. Hanser Alberto took his spot in the lineup, going 0 for 1. But it was your center fielder, Michael Taylor, who went 3 for 5, driving in 3. He had a home run in this one. And he scored a run. So a productive day at the plate for Taylor. Kansas City getting the first win of the year, or getting win number 1. Tampa Bay over Miami 1-0. It was Ryan Thompson getting the win for the Rays. 1 inning pitched, allowing 1 hit, no runs, none of them earned, and striking out 1. Diego Castillo getting the save. Let's see. Padres over the Diamondbacks 8-7. St. Louis over Cincinnati 11-6. Philadelphia getting a win 3-2 over Atlanta. Connor Brogdon getting the win in that one for the Phillies. Nate Jones for the Braves taking the loss. Cubs losing to Pittsburgh 5-3. It was a final in 10 innings. Milwaukee over Minnesota 6-5. Cleveland falling to Detroit 3-2. Toronto over the Yankees 3-2 in 10 innings. End of the first out in Anaheim. No score between the White Sox and the Angels. The top of the second in Oakland, Houston, and the A's are at no score. And then at the end of the first inning, out in Seattle, Giants and the Mariners, no score. And that's your Major League Baseball roundup. Here, opening day in Major League Baseball. Going back to the series between the Nationals and the Mets, the Nationals don't know when they'll play after 2 more players have tested positive for COVID-19, and another is likely positive. And will bring the team's total to 4. General Manager Mike Rizzo said today. Washington was expected to open its season Saturday against the New York Mets after Thursday's opening day contest between the pair was postponed. But Rizzo said he's not sure if the Nationals will be able to play this weekend at all, as the team is conducting extensive contact tracing. One of the three players to test positive has experienced a fever, while the others are asymptomatic up till now. The fourth player, who's likely positive, requires additional testing. The two players to test positive were among the four who were in close contact with the first Nationals player to test positive. Both were already in quarantine. They are not, it does not look like they are announcing who the players are, and that's rightly so for, I guess, privacy purposes. And I don't have a problem with that. I really don't have any issue with them not saying who the players are. Rizzo said that the Nationals are in contact with D.C. officials about vaccinations, according to Chelsea Jones of the Washington Post. So we'll see if the Nationals can finally open their season this weekend, or maybe they'll have to wait till next weekend and postpone that Mets series to a later time. COVID-19 still causing problems in the world of sports. Speaking of the Mets, shortstop Francisco Lindor is confident he will still be making an impact at the end of his new 10-year extension. He says, quote, "I'll be a bad mother effer." He said that today when asked what kind of player he'll be at the age of 38. The Mets and Lindor have agreed to a new deal reportedly worth $341 million. The four-time All-Star would have likely become the top free agent after this season if he didn't sign a new contract prior to his self-imposed opening day deadline. The 27-year-old's deal is easily the most valuable in Mets history, besting David Wright's $138 million pact from November of 2012. To the fans in New York, here we go, baby, here we go. And that's a direct quote from Francisco Lindor. In a prior episode, when we were talking about the Fernando Tatis deal in San Diego, this is another, look, I'm not knocking Francisco Lindor for getting this big-time contract extension worth $341 million. The Fernando Tatis deal was worth $340. There's a lot of money being thrown around for these players here in Major League Baseball. In a prior episode, I mentioned how I think the contracts are super ridiculous. There needs to be some sort of salary cap in Major League Baseball. I mean, this is borderline ridiculous. But when you play 162 games and you get the TV deals that you have, and you have the streaming on MLB.com and that's an MLB TV through that app, I guess you can afford to pay players the way they are. I still think it's ridiculous. I don't know if there's any athlete out there worth that much money. But again, contracts in the NFL are getting crazy. Contracts in the NBA are getting crazy. I don't know of any mega or uber ridiculous contracts in the National Hockey League. I know there's a lot of money being thrown around in international soccer. So again, and this is all because of TV and things like that. But again, I want a piece of the pie. And unfortunately for me, I was not blessed with any athletic ability. But I want a piece of this money. I do. So if there's anybody in Major League Baseball or the National Football League or the NBA or NHL, give me some money. I want a part of it. I want to be a part of this. That's a lot of money. There's enough to go around for everybody. Jeez. Here's something that happened with the Dodgers today. Cody Bellinger hit a home run, hit one over the fence, but he didn't touch them all. Now, one of baseball's oddest rules reared its head at Coors Field during a bizarre sequence in today's game between the Dodgers and the Rockies. Bellinger laced what appeared to be a two-run homer off Rockies starter German Marquez in the top of the third inning to give his team a 2-0 lead, but umpires immediately called Bellinger out, causing major confusion on the field. Indeed, it was the right call. What happened was Bellinger passed Justin Turner on the base path after Turner, running from first, mistakenly retreated when he thought Rockies outfielder Raimel Tapia made a catch. Because base runners cannot pass each other, Bellinger was ruled out. For those scoring at home, that's an RBI single for Bellinger and an out at first. Turner was allowed to score because the ball went over the fence. Only in baseball. Only in baseball. You could go to the Sportsnet LA Twitter to see what happened. There's a video posted there. The University of Iowa's Luka Garza was named the Associated Press Men's College Player of the Year today. He knew what everyone expected before returning for a final run as Iowa's unquestioned star. Pressure? Garza felt it. All right, enough to know his mental health required the same attention as his game. I needed meditation to lean on to be able to mainly just go out there and be myself and not worry about anything else, said Garza. He was the runaway choice for the award, announced today, receiving 50 of 63 votes from AP top 25 voters. Ayo Dosunmu, who led Illinois to the Big Ten tournament title and a number one NCAA seed, was second with 6 votes, followed by Oklahoma State freshman Cade Cunningham with 3. Gonzaga's Corey Kispert and Baylor's Jared Butler each earned 2 votes. Garza ranked second nationally, averaging 24.1 points a game with 8.7 rebounds. He improved his shooting percentages across the board, including going 36% on three-pointers last year to 44%, and his assist-to-turnover ratio after working on passing ahead of double and triple teams he knew would come all season long. Garza led the Hawkeyes to a number 2 seed in the NCAA tournament, then accounted for nearly half their points in a second-round upset loss to Oregon. The native of Washington, D.C., finished as the career scoring leader at Iowa, 2,306 points, and Iowa has already announced they will retire his number 55. Coach Fran McCaffrey said, "We may never see another one like him." Sure, he had the big numbers and helped the Hawkeyes spend nearly the entire season in the top 10 nationally, but Garza figures the daily ritual of resetting his mind while focusing on something as simple as his breathing led to all of that, particularly in a season altered by the COVID-19 pandemic. Garza was second to Dayton's Obi Toppin for last year's award. It was during that season that he began game day meditation at the suggestion of his father, who played basketball at Idaho. As Frank Garza put it, it's worth taking the mind to the gym. All right. And sticking with the NCAA men's basketball, Cade Cunningham has declared for the NBA draft. Oklahoma State freshman guard will enter the 2021 NBA draft, he announced today. The move was not considered a surprise, as Cunningham is widely expected to be the first overall pick. The 19-year-old was recently named the nation's top freshman, voted Big 12 Player of the Year, and selected as a freshman team All-American. Cunningham is also a finalist for the John Wooden Award. Oklahoma State was given a number 4 seed in the NCAA tournament, but was upset in the second round by Oregon State. Cunningham averaged 20 points a game, 6.2 rebounds, 3.5 assists, and a steal and a half during his lone collegiate campaign, leading the Cowboys to a 21-9 record and a berth in the conference title game. The 2021 NBA draft is scheduled for July 29th, with the lottery set for June 22nd. And here's the story on Chris Beard. Beard has been hired by the University of Texas as the program's next head coach. The Longhorns actually announced that today. Beard previously served as head coach of Texas Tech and signed a 6-year contract extension following the 2019 season. He led the school to a combined 112 wins, 55 loss record over 5 seasons, and guided the Red Raiders to the Elite Eight in 2018 and a national championship appearance in 2019. He helped the program qualify for 4 consecutive NCAA tournaments. Kirby Hocutt, Texas Tech athletic director, confirmed Beard's exit today, telling the Athletics' Sam Khan, "We were not given an opportunity to make a counteroffer." Beard replaces Shaka Smart, who recently signed on to become the new head coach at Marquette. Texas is coming off a 19-8 season, including an 11-6 record in Big 12 play. The Longhorns were upset by Abilene Christian, a number 14 seed in the first round. Texas Tech starting guard Kyler Edwards announced his plans to transfer from the school shortly after Beard's departure was reported. I wonder where Kyler Edwards may end up. Any thoughts on that? Do we have any thoughts on that? I think he ends up in Austin. Texas Tech was beaten by Arkansas 68-66, second round exit for the Red Raiders. All right. I think that about does it for tonight. I have a timer going on in front of me, giving me a time limit, but I think we're going to beat that time limit. So, again, I appreciate everybody watching. Thank you so much for joining us tonight. I want to thank everybody that has watched the replays on YouTube. Share these out. I like this entity to grow. I like this program to grow. I would like the comments to come in. Let's see. Did we receive any comments tonight? Let's see. The Pelicans are going to overtime. Let's see. Let's see. 3 seconds in overtime. The Magic lead 114-110. I did just renew my season tickets for the Pelicans today. So I will be going to games even next year, hopefully in a full Smoothie King Center. We'll see. Wendell Carter leads the Magic with 20 points, 12 rebounds, 2 assists, double-double for him. Nickeil Alexander-Walker with 31. Pelicans shooting 44%. 12 of 28 from 3, 84% from the line. They've out-rebounded the Magic 55-48, but 24 turnovers for the Pelicans have doomed Stan Van Gundy's team tonight. It is a final 115-110, the 16-31 Orlando Magic defeating the New Orleans Pelicans tonight. Did the Pelicans take a lead going into the fourth? Yeah, they did. Yeah, they did. They were up 5, and Orlando came back and forced overtime. Orlando had 72 points in the paint. New Orleans had 50. 20-second chance points for the Magic, 7 for New Orleans. Orlando 36 points off of turnovers. The Pels 17. Biggest lead of the night for biggest leads of the night. Orlando was at 13. Pelicans at 7. 3,700 fans in attendance. That's a full house according to COVID regulations in New Orleans. 3,700 paid attendance. Nickeil Alexander-Walker looks like he was the leading scorer for New Orleans. 31 points, 8 rebounds, 3 assists. No Zion Williamson tonight as he had a sprained right thumb. Also out was Brandon Ingram and Lonzo Ball, still having problems with that right hip. Willie Hernan Gomez did not play tonight. Let's see. James Johnson did get some playing time tonight for the Pels. He had 17. Josh Hart had 14. Jackson Hayes had 10. Josh Hart had a double-double tonight, though. 14 points, 17 rebounds. He has controlled the boards the last few games for New Orleans. Leading scorer for the Magic tonight was Wendell Carter. 21 points, 12 rebounds. Ooh. Pelicans did not need that loss tonight. They're trying to make a playoff run. They're trying to make a playoff push. They did not need to lose to an Orlando Magic team that had been struggling, but they did. 115-110, Pelicans go down to the Orlando Magic. So there's that. Oh, they took 2 points away from Nickeil Alexander-Walker here in the final stats. Is that what they really just did? Yep, 29 points, 8 rebounds, 3 assists in 38 minutes. Well, oh well. Other finals tonight from around the association. Miami over Golden State, 116-109. Brooklyn over Charlotte, 111-89. Detroit over Washington, 120-91. Philadelphia beating Cleveland, 114-94. 9:42 to go, second quarter. Denver leads the Clippers 34-25, and 38 seconds to go, fourth quarter. Atlanta leads San Antonio 107-105. All right, once again, thank you everybody for joining us. I really do appreciate it, and as always, grab your favorite cigar, grab your favorite beverage, sit back, relax, enjoy the program, join the conversation, as we already had one viewer already let us know about that overtime game with the Pelicans. And this is the kind of feedback, this is the kind of conversation I like to have. So again, thank you for joining us tonight. We will see you again maybe sometime this weekend, maybe have an Easter Sunday edition of Cigar and a Beverage, because I'd like to join you. Then we can talk about the national semifinal games from Saturday night, plus any other sports news that may come our way. So once again, grab your favorite cigar, grab your favorite beverage, sit back and relax, and next time join us live for another edition of Cigar and a Beverage. Thank you guys. Y'all have a great night.